What is going on, everyone? Welcome to this episode of Pardon the Disruption. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Matthew Potter. I am your short sale guy, hedge fund connection, and co-founder of the Family Tree at Real Brokerage. In the event that you need help with any of those things, go ahead and give me a holler. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to go ahead and give you a breakdown of how we do things around here for those that are just joining us. But real quick, before I do that, I wanted to go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor, 10X TV, Tony Javier. You can go ahead and visit at tvwithtony.com for all of your commercial advertisement needs. All right, so the way that we do things around here, we have 6 questions, 5 of which are actually predetermined. The 6th comes from you, our viewers, so you can go ahead and hit us up in the YouTube chat. You can go ahead and text 33777 question and go ahead and have your question answered by our esteemed panel. The way that we do things, 45 seconds for each one of our contestants. Then we have 2 minutes to chop it up. After that, they will be awarded points based on their answers, except for RJ because he's always complaining about my judging, so he's not getting any points ever again. That being said, before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and start it out with introducing our reigning champion, Steve Trang. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve Trang, Real Estate Disruptors. Been in the game for 16 years, and just this week we celebrated 5 years of Real Estate Disruptors. I can't believe it's been 5 years since we launched this crazy podcast. I'm looking forward to today's show. Hopefully, I can bring it with enough enthusiasm because today, before the show, Eric Brewer has brought his best anti-Tony Robbins energy. So we'll see how today goes.
Outstanding. Thank you, Steve. Next up, one of the chat's favorites, we have ourselves Chris CJ Jefferson out of Richmond. Go ahead and talk to us, boss.
What's up, Chris Jefferson, Richmond, VA, charged up. Happy to be back, man. See if we get a victory this week. I'm locked in, pun intended. All right, let's make it happen. Let's go.
Awesome. Looking crisp and clear. We're glad to see that you have that crispy internet this week, CJ. We appreciate it. Next up, coming to us from Dallas, Texas, we have the legend, RJ Bates.
Yeah, see, this is why I love Potter. It's Fort Worth, Texas, not Dallas, but that's cool. Always excited to be able to pardon the disruption with my good friends Steve Trang and Chris Jefferson and Matthew Potter. I don't know why you are laughing. Yeah, looking forward to this week. And also, in case you didn't know, I have a podcast that's been going on for 6 years, 1 year longer than Steve Trang, with 8% of the amount of downloads.
Outstanding. We really appreciate that. As always, we love being here with you as well, RJ. Last, certainly not least, we have Eric Brewer coming to us from York, Pennsylvania.
Glad to be here. Super excited to see that RJ pulled away from his 50 releases in 50 days promotion he's been doing, locking up BS deals and trying to sell them to the panel. So excited to be here for the next hour. That's part of my day. Every time I come off this show, I feel taller, thinner, and smarter. So let's get going. I'm excited.
Wow. Clearly, we're going to be in for it today. I'm excited. We're going to start off with our first question. As a boss, how would you have handled the Grizzlies Dillon Brooks situation? Start us off, Steve.
You know, I would say there's a lot of controversy here, but I probably would have handled it the same exact way, right? Like, there clearly was a culture problem. And when you got a culture problem, sometimes you got to make an example, right? And what better way to make an example than a guy who, you know, underperformed when they needed him the most? So they want to move away the trash talking, the image. You got to make an example of somebody. And the way they made the example is like, hey, you are not welcome back in our company. We're going to have a public flogging here. So I probably would have handled it the same exact way. I wouldn't have handled it any different. So I think they did it properly.
All right. way to just agree with the question. We appreciate it. All right, CJ, what about you?
All right, look, like they had to get rid of this guy. I looked up his stats just now. He had decent season stats, but you know what I've never seen? I've been all over the U.S. I've never seen anybody walking around in a Dillon Brooks jersey. All right, why is he the most talked about person on the Memphis Grizzlies team during their playoff run, their short-lived playoff run? He had to be dealt with. He had to be off the team. They had a major cultural issue with having such a young nucleus of players. You know, Ja Morant, his whole situation. You know, they had to get rid of this guy because he was just kind of contributing to that negative perspective that had been created. So I think it was the right move 100%.
All right. What are your thoughts, RJ? What would you have done?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting topic because it's more or less they're just making a decision to not re-sign him because he's coming up on his free agency. And it's a team that underperformed in the postseason, right? Losing to the Lakers in kind of embarrassing fashion. I think the only thing that I probably would have changed is if they really want to make a change in their culture, could they trade Ja Morant as well? Because he was the one that started all of the drama late in the season with his whole Instagram live gun situation. I think if they're really trying to make a statement to how they're going to run the organization, they would move on from Ja Morant as well.
Okay, all right. I like that you added a little bit into the conversation there, RJ. That's nice. All right, Eric, what about you?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it appears that they made the right decision. I think this is a good business lesson for anybody that runs a business, is on a team, in the office or out of the office. And I learned this a few years ago from a friend. It comes from the Navy SEALs, and they rate people in two categories: trust and performance. And what they effectively said is, this started not in the postseason. This guy's been doing this really his whole career, but it started at the beginning of the year. They tolerated it as long as they were winning. And it wasn't until the performance suffered that they now are the champion of being a good teammate and a player. I think it's BS. I think it's too little, too late. They effectively aren't bringing him back. So it's not like they suspended him or took a stance on his behavior. They're just not bringing him back. If you think about like back in the 90s, the Detroit Pistons, that entire team embraced that mentality, right? It was the culture of Detroit. It was the culture of that team. Unless they want that to be how they're known and be that sort of outward-facing representation of their brand, they have to cut ties and get far away. But if you're paying attention, they permitted it for 80, 90 games and didn't have a problem with it as long as they got wins. To me, that's kind of a crappy stance to take, and I've lost a little respect for that organization.
Well, if you look at what they said, though, right? It wasn't like, hey, we want him to change, we're going to bring him back, but we want to have a conversation. They were saying we are closing the door, thereby hurting his value on the free market, right? Like when he goes back to negotiate, his old team doesn't even want him back. And you look at, there was some footage I saw the other day of him back when he was in college, right? And he was getting, it wasn't chewed out, but, Mike Krzyzewski pulled him aside. He's like, you're too good to be doing this, right? So this is something he's got his whole career. But you look at like the Portland Blazers. Remember when they were just smoking, right? You got Darius Miles, you got Zebo, you got Corey Maggette, right? Zebo, he was awesome, right? I love Zebo. But like all they were doing was just like smoking pot, going to strip clubs, and like not practicing. And they had
doing what people do at your office, you mean?
Look, it's different in sales than it is in basketball, right? So anyway, they had to change the culture, but they didn't. They did a good job of changing the culture in Portland, right? But here, they had to change something, and it's a lot easier to make an example of Dillon Brooks than it is with Ja Morant. You can't trade away Ja. That guy is a cornerstone to a franchise.
You got to assume, Steve, that RJ.
I forgot she. Sorry, DJ.
RJ's sports podcast doesn't have as many views as his real estate podcast for sure. If he's suggesting that you cut Ja Morant, I think Ja Morant is leading negative.
I said
culture. Trading is cutting in sports, right, man. If you're trading somebody away, you're in haste and quickly, you're not going to get type of assets back if you're calling somebody a problematic player. Ultimately, is what I'm saying is this: Leadership starts at the top. The bad culture that Eric is referencing started with Ja Morant. I think we would all agree with that. And not even just this season. I think coming into this season, it was really kind of happening. And everybody was feeding and moving off of his energy. And they're trying to cut out some of that nucleus to kind of change that around. And I think you have to do that, but you don't trade, to RJ's point.
So
Right.
so CJ and Steve's perspective here is, if you're a really good player and you produce points and statistics and a good regular season, you can do whatever you want. True culture, it doesn't actually.
That's not what
RJ.
happened. That's not what happened.
Look,
core values don't matter if you're.
We're gonna go with
player.
Eric said, right?
Shots
Eric talked
fired.
about the chart.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Hey, Steve. Pew.
Oh my God! All right, so high performance, high trust, right? So those are two things. If you got high performance but low trust, we can work on you. You got high trust and low performance, we can work on you.
No, never can you work on low trust. That's a non-negotiable. You're gone. Never. Low trust is non-negotiable. It's an immediate, you're gone.
Well, I'm going to say, so I'm botching this, right? But if you're low trust, low performance, you're out. I don't care what's going on, right? But with Ja, are we saying like we're ready to write him off, or we want to invest a little bit more, surround him with the right people, right? Just like you have someone with a crappy diet, you put a sports nutritionist around him, right? You want to improve, give him the best chance to improve. Now, if Ja, you give him another year, and it doesn't work out, then you talk about getting rid of him. But as a business owner, you can't give up on Ja yet.
I know, because heaven forbid you give up your player that's leading you to multiple first-round exits. I mean, he's such a cornerstone.
Dude, he's 23. All right, he just got $200-something million. I think he realizes, it seems at least, I think he's realized that the behavior wasn't beneficial to the team. I think we could see that Ja Morant is all in on the Memphis Grizzlies organization, the community. If you look at the things that he's doing out there, I think he's all in on that organization.
Yeah, that 8-game suspension really taught him a lesson about running around on Instagram Live with a gun. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, when you had to take off the pod, I mean, we don't have to talk about it publicly, but I mean, when you had to take off the pod to go to work, bro, I mean, look at how you came back.
I did. You have been better. It's just you had to go.
Yeah.
Let's have Steve do his version of "There's a parade inside my city." Yeah. You thought, dude, I got to hear that.
Steve,
let's do it. We can battle. You don't even know what I'm talking about. You're so patient.
No idea what you're talking
about. Like, literally. You didn't remember Ja Morant. There's a parade inside my city, yeah.
Yeah, it is. There it is.
I just remember that it's not a threat. There's no one in the West that's a threat. It's the last thing I remember from that.
Do it, Steve.
I can't do it. I don't have the reference.
No, nobody needs to hear that. Nobody needs to, wants to, anything like that.
Come
All
on,
right.
man.
So not gonna lie, that went a little bit better than I expected. It started off a little slow. You know, we had Steve trying to put the train on the tracks, you know, and we got moving on it. That go round, just for the added information, gonna go ahead and give that one to CJ. I like where you took it. That being said, I do want to give an honorable mention to my man, the legend, RJ Bates, on that one, because I'm not gonna lie, it's a hot take, but dude, you're not completely off there. Like, you're not. Like, hey, you know, you gotta get it right, 23 or not.
Added information. What do you mean added information for C? He didn't bring any new information to the conversation.
Hey,
Next
Potter,
up, you
you
said
know
before the
something,
show
man?
you're uninformed, right? You're gonna mute yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're trying to add to this here.
Potter, this is why you gotta have those double gates, bro, because the haters try to get close. You gotta keep the gates closed on them, man.
That's right, CJ. That's why you got the code, bro. You got the code.
No doubt.
All right, next up, let's go ahead and get to it. We have, how do you define an A player? Start us off, CJ.
I think A players are the ones in your company or on your team that like respect the business the most. They know that it's going to be upswings, downswings. We've talked a lot about this. I think even in the last episode, that entrepreneurship isn't easy. Being a business owner and having an A player, they've got to respect and understand the same thing, that the business isn't easy. You've got to be willing to know, what is it that they want? You know, I think defining that A player is somebody that's always showing up, always being supportive with you again on those ups and downs. and somebody that's really ready to ride that trench with you and go to war. And when it comes to this thing, whatever it is that you're doing, and really, really stand strong with you in the pocket.
Very nice, very nice. I like that, CJ. All right, RJ, what's your definition of a player?
Do you know how difficult it was to listen to Chris Jefferson win that first round and then listen to him define what an A player was?
John, clearly,
the definition of an A player is someone that goes out and waves guns around on IG Live. I mean, that's what we need to build the cornerstone of our organization around. Justin, Patrick, go live now. Pull out the Glocks. Let's go, boys. I mean, I don't know. I'm so confused by Potter's judging. I mean, to me, it's someone that puts the organization above themselves. But I'm apparently confused, and I get an honorable mention. But I would want someone that puts the organization before themselves, shows up every day, and is a leader in the organization and thinks about the organization over themselves.
That was actually great, RJ. I really appreciate it. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you're going to get any points today, just because you've been a little bit of a rascal.
He's blowing smoke.
All right, Brewer. What about you? What you got for an A player?
I think there's a Google version, right? It's like someone that works hard. Chris said ride the trenches. I'm not even sure what that means, how you ride the trenches with someone. It's ride the train, maybe get in the trenches, but I mean, who knows? So like the Google version is all the buzzwords that CJ had in his word salad he said for 44 seconds. I think that the real version is someone that aligns with your values and can perform at or above your defined standards, right? So inside of your organization, what do you stand for? What are your core values? Do they align with that? And then can they consistently perform at or above your defined standards? To me, that's an A player.
A player definition from Eric Brewer, straight from the trenches. Next up, Steve, what do you got for A player?
So I think there's a lot of similarities to what Eric was talking about. I think someone that's got the core values. I think if you're not aligned in core values, an A player for myself might be different than a core player for RJ. It might be different than an A player for CJ, right? Especially CJ wants people with guns running around. But for me, the A player is the core value fit first, and on top of that, we're looking for a few different things. We're looking for resourcefulness, right? Like, if I need to help you do your job all the time, is this not going to work? And then batteries included. This is the part where people are always moving forward, always taking action. They're not sitting still. For me, you look at the kind of talent that we love having here is if they're done with what they're responsible for and they come to you, hey, what else can I work on? For me, that's an A player. The one that's just sitting there when their job is done and then you're just kind of like chilling on the internet, not really what we're looking for here, right? So I think an A player, core value fit, someone that wants to get after it and do more than just what their job is.
I think it's great when Steve said just sitting there scrolling on the internet, Potter's literally thumbing through Instagram, like not paying attention to what's going on, right? He's like,
I didn't say he was an A player.
Before you go to A player boot camp, he's the before picture, right? He's like, you drop one of these off, you'll get one of these.
Yeah, A player to me has the awareness not to have to come to ask you what the next task is. They've got the awareness to know what that is in your business, in your organization. Shout out to Mind Acquisitions. What's up? Always knows before I know what needs to be done, brings the things to the table and says, hey, like these are things that are upcoming. These are things that are on deck that you need to be aware of, that we need to get ahead of. That's an A player to me, 110% across the board.
Well, I think we have an opportunity here, right?
Was that your chance to try to overcome the word salad that you
the word what?
The word salad that you attempted on your first go around there?
RJ, you and me don't know about salads. Eric included, man.
Bro,
stop playing, man.
You sounded like Joe Biden trying to answer a question about the economy. Come on.
Chris, RJ definitely puts raisins in his word salad.
No question, man. No question.
Chris Kamala Jefferson over here. Anyway, let's go back to RJ. RJ's got an excellent 9 to 5, so we got a resource here that we can leverage. RJ, why are you such a great A player for your company?
Man, that's an incredible question right there.
Wow. You guys are relentless on this thing, aren't you? This is like an ongoing 8-month-long joke.
So waiting.
I refuse to answer.
He's on company time. Leave him be. Leave him be.
Nah, be a legend, man. Be a legend. Be a legend.
Oh my gosh.
No, my favorite part is he left it up. I mean, that's just mine. I just love it. I love it, man. I love it.
You look like you're in the basement from the house on Ozarks. I'm just waiting for like some, mobster to walk in the back. Pretty awesome, honestly.
We're going to go ahead and end that round. As far as I'm concerned, everyone on the panel is an A player except for Brewer. So I wasn't on Instagram, by the way. I was actually
Grinder.
Wow. All right. Certainly no points for Brewer today. This round, Steve was extremely indecisive with, hey, everybody's A player definition is different. CJ, I love where you went with it. And as much as it pains me to say this, Ozarks, I'm going to go ahead and award it to you this go around because you've taken an absolute beating. And you also do understand the 9-to-5 A player mentality that we need. So, RJ, you're going to get the point that go round. And Brewer is now on my shit list for the rest of the show.
Brewer is like this show's Dylan Brooks. you poke bears, and we constantly hang 40 on you every week, Thursday at 2:30.
Incorrect.
Braid your beard for the next show the way Dylan Brooks does.
I'm going to.
We'll have a hell of a show.
I know you're a little bit jealous over there, Brewer, that you can't grow this. I understand.
I knew your initials were DB. I thought they stood for something else, but
wow.
Turns out it's Dylan Brooks. My bad. I feel bad for making those assumptions earlier. I apologize.
It's all right. The apology is accepted.
Next
up, as a company, how do you handle a situation like Messi's, where your employee is shopping around? Start us off, RJ.
So I think this is kind of a unique question because Messi is an all-time great. So I think anybody that is employing him, it knows that it's a short-term rental with the way that the soccer world works. I think if you have someone on your team that is you're employing that is literally one of the greatest of all time, then you have to understand they're going to explore their options and see how they can create the legacy that they deserve. And I think in this case, it's his right to go out and put himself in the best situation possible. And if you're an owner of a company and you have someone on your team, you have to say, hey, thank you for your time with our company, and we wish you the best.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Eric, what about you?
Yeah, I'll use this opportunity to touch on something I find a lot in conversations. I think the word loyal, like, why are we asking this question, right? Like, I think some people feel like he's got some type of obligation to remain loyal to his current team. And I feel like oftentimes we use the word loyalty as an excuse to treat people like shit and hope that they never leave us, right? So a lot of people lean on that. Oh, that guy's not loyal. It's like, hold on for a second, man. You've been disrespecting me for a year. I've been talking about how I want to improve. I want to make more money. You as an employer haven't provided those opportunities. And then when I look elsewhere, you hang this, lack of loyalty badge on me. So I think that's one part of the response. The second is, everybody's always recruiting. We talked about A players, right? Everybody's always recruiting A players. And if you're not accepting the fact that they're always shopping around, you should, and treat people differently so they don't want to leave.
Please be mindful of the buzzer. Thank you, Eric. It was a good answer, though. I will give you that. All right, Steve. What you got, Steve?
I think if someone's publicly, letting other people know I'm a free agent, it's a deal breaker, right? It's a deal killer. Commitment is an important core value for us. It's one of our 5 core values. So if you're publicly shopping and letting people know I'm a free agent, you're cut. Like there's nothing else to say about it, right? You're off the team, right? We don't hire mercenaries here. We hire patriots. We hire people that are committed to the vision, who are committed to the mission, who are committed to one another, right? I mean, RJ talked about it, the A players, right? People that are working not just for themselves, but for the betterment of everyone around them. If you're here just for you and you're a mercenary, we don't need you. So if someone is openly shopping saying, hey, I'm looking for better offers, you're out. And that's the end of conversation.
Case in point, you're calling him not loyal. Basically, are you committed to that person?
If I've done everything I can to support that person and listen to that person, wait, hang on. This is CJ's role. Like, let's not skip CJ.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Freaking Eric, not loyal at all. Anyway, continue.
Jeez. CJ, what about you? What are you doing with Messi?
Look, talent retention has been an issue, since the beginning of time, really. I mean, you're talking about generational talent. I think the expectation that you can retain them is a mistake in the first place. I think that the organizations that do these things well, whether it's business, whether it's sports, whatever, understand that when talent like this comes across, that they deserve and will seek out whatever the best opportunity is for themselves individually. And it's your job to, if this is your business, it's your job to recognize the talent that you have before it blossoms, before it becomes generational. And you got to plan around it. You've got to plan succession plans. You got to have people in your system that you're training, that you're building, that you're putting in place to build up to take that spot potentially, or eventually rather, because you're never going to hold somebody like that, because again, they deserve to go after whatever's best for them. Because I mean, if they got to pay him $400 million a season or whatever the tag is, I see these Instagram posts. I mean, how much money is he generating for that particular business? It's definitely on him to get out of there at some point and go wherever the grass may be greener in his perspective.
So what I found interesting about Steve's answer is that he's like, hey, Messi's got to go because he's not loyal. That as a Suns fan, he was all about KD coming to town. And KD doesn't have a bone of loyalty to Phoenix, Arizona, or the Suns or any of his teammates. He's going to move on to the next location where he can try to win another championship.
Yeah.
But you were willing, as a fan, you were willing to accept him.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Sports is a whole different animal, right? We're talking about like in sports, everyone's a mercenary, right? For the most part, like you're bringing in Durant, you're bringing in Messi. Like they actually have the term in soccer on loan, right? Like this player is on loan. They are a mercenary by design. I'm just saying, in my organization, if top talent is raising their hand and say, hey, I am ready to be recruited, we're gonna have a major problem. Soccer, yeah, we're gonna sell ourselves from Messi. That's just the way
Isn't top talent always being recruited though, whether you know it or not?
They're always being recruited. I'm saying there's a difference between being recruited and going out there and shopping for best offers.
But my perspective is top talent are people that believe that they can fill your shoes, and they're going to operate with the same eagerness for growth and getting bigger and better that we do as owners. And I don't think we can knock them necessarily for that. I don't know that that's a bad.
No, we can't knock them, right? And I've had plenty of people that were excellent that have left me to go on and do other things, and I don't have any issues with them moving on, right? My responsibility as a business owner is to create an opportunity for you to thrive within my organization. And if you decide to leave, that's not on you, that's on me, right? So I've got no issues with people leaving. My point is, at the moment you raise your hand and say, I'm a free agent to be recruited, there is no longer.
But how did they ever leave if they never raised their hand? So you said you don't have a problem with the people that left, but they left. Did they not raise their hand at any point?
Publicly, like post on on Facebook.
So you'd rather them do it in private so you don't know about it.
I mean, if you're gonna put it that way, yeah, I would rather, right? If they're getting recruited, I would love for an opportunity, right? But if they're being recruited and they're gonna be listening to other offers to find out what their value is and come back and talk to me, here's what the value has said I am. Here's what the market says I'm worth. Are you open to having a conversation about this? I'm open to having a conversation about it. But if it's, hey, I'm going out to shop for the best offer right now, I'm not even being recruited, I'm going out shopping, I think that's a different conversation.
Potter, just real quick before you decide who gets this point, it can't be Steve because of how wrong he was. Two of the greatest sports mercenaries of all time, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, were loyal to their organizations to a fault. So Steve just can't get the point. You can give it to anybody else.
Thank you, Judge Stu.
I appreciate that, RJ. Thanks for making my job easier. I do
You're welcome.
appreciate that.
The worst second judge of all time. The worst backup judge ever. Thank you.
All right. That was definitely a great round. Eric, I need to tell you from the bottom of my heart, your answer about loyalty was really great and amazing, and it pains me to do this. I'm going to go ahead and award the point to RJ just because that's where we're going to be at today. And maybe next time you'll
well done. Touche,
maybe next time you'll go ahead and respect my authority.
Probably not.
Probably not. So we're going to be in this boat for a minute. You know, we're going to be in the trenches. We're in the trenches.
Ride the trench with me. Ride the trench.
That's right. Let's ride the trench.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get on to our next question, I'm going to toss it over to Steve. Steve, I need you to go ahead and read the sponsorship from.
Yeah. So
Tony.
Today's show, the sponsor for today's show is 10X TV or TVWithTony.com. Do you want to get inbound leads calling you and getting celebrity status in your market? Look no further than Tony Javier's 10X TV. Tony has been doing TV commercials to find consistent, motivated sellers for over a decade. It is one of the things that has allowed him to do over 1,000 flips. He will use his proven TV commercial formula to get high quality leads calling you and even set it up for you. Get in front of 10 times more people, 10 times faster, 10 times cheaper, with 10 times more credibility than any other marketing channel. Surprisingly, TV has little to no competition, and you can get a steady flow of motivated seller leads. If you want to see why over 100 real estate investors have used Tony to run their TV commercials, go to tvwithtony.com to see if there's a spot available in your market. Again, that's tvwithtony.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. All right. Next up, we have what are your thoughts on the Business Insider article, why zero money down strategies like wholesaling won't be working for investors in 23? Start us off, RJ.
So this article kind of targeted wholesaling, but then it was coming from a landlord who was then talking about interest rates and the fact that the market can no longer sustain the appreciation we've seen over the past 10, 15 years. And it really had nothing to do with wholesaling, even though he was saying that there's no way that can work. And then it was also targeting, I guess, in his words, gurus. If they're saying no money down or creative finance or something like that, they just have something to sell you. As someone that wholesales all day, every day, I disagree with this. It does work. I don't see any issues with it whatsoever. And I think we have repeatedly said here on PTD that moving forward, buying properties on terms subject to creatively is going to just increase in the future.
Point of clarification, wholesaling, is that an acquisition or disposition?
It's a little unclear.
Let's throw that to EB and let him answer.
All right, Eric, what about you? What are your thoughts on this article?
I mean, in all fairness, I started reading it when RJ started talking. I figured it was the better of the two options to read some BS article or listen to him. But it looks like a classic mainstream media, headline to get attention. And then to RJ's point, like, it makes zero sense. The guy is a landlord, but somehow he's talking about how no money down strategies like wholesaling in a high interest rate environment won't work. That those two don't even really go together. The reality is that if you're going to say that something like wholesaling is not going to work, what are the hard and fast economic factors that would change that? I think if anything, we've talked about on this show how it's going to get worse before it gets better as far as unemployment, inflation continues to have an impact on people. What we do as wholesalers and helping out, distressed homeowners liquidate assets, to me, will only rise in popularity and value over the next couple of years. I think the article's BS. I mean, I don't know how to explain it.
Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that insight to the table, Brewer. We appreciate it as always. Steve, what are your thoughts?
I love the state of journalism today. I think the journalists today have done a wonderful job of making claims and finding the most uninformed people to talk about it. Like, let's go find a guy that has no idea what he's talking about and ask him questions about this idea that we just kind of made up and have him talk about it. There's literally zero value in this article. I kind of feel like this was a paid post by this guy, but the article made a point, asked a guy that was uninformed, uneducated in the industry, and it gave zero reasons to back up anything in either the title or the points and statements he made. So I love the state of journalism today. I think it's wonderful.
And we all love it when Sarcastic Steve comes out to answer. Next up, CJ, what you got?
I think the panel will appreciate this. Yahoo News finance in the entrepreneurship world is, it's like the equivalent of like Fox News in politics. I mean, this literally makes no sense. I mean, there's not even a way to piece this article together for it to make sense. All right. There's a point in this article where he's talking about this whole thing is about trying to claim that you can't bootstrap a business and accumulate any wealth or anything like that. I think we all personally know, tons of people that have been able to get into business utilizing wholesale and creative strategies and amass portfolios, amass wealth. The ironic part is he's a commercial investor, from what I understand from this article, and creative financing is almost normal in commercial real estate. So I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if Tucker Ghost wrote this. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah.
But this clearly makes no sense.
I think like if there's ever been any concern as far as AI replacing journalism, like this cements it, right? Journalism is dead. ChatGPT could write a far superior article than what was written here in Yahoo Finance. And I'm with you, Chris. Yahoo Finance, this is one of those places is like, it's clearly paid. This is no better than BuzzFeed or Vice or any other news source where you can get paid product placement.
My favorite part of it is he said, if you're putting less than 20% down payment, then you have mortgage insurance. Yet I literally yesterday, I get a deal, seller finance, no money down, 5% interest over a 15-year AM. What does he have to say about this? This is a very common thing that happens on a daily basis. And that is how people can bootstrap a portfolio, which he literally claims he bootstrapped his portfolio. And then he's like, but you can't do that anymore. It's
a far greater indictment I think in journalism than it is on this poor guy. This guy clearly was happy to have his name out there. He probably didn't even know what they were quoting him for. There's like, hey, we want your opinion on something. And he just said it. And these hacks put this out there.
That's like the equivalent of like asking me to star in a like Beachbody contest, like getting this guy to write this article. That's like the same, just terrible selection of the authority.
I'm out. I'm sick.
Oh.
Yeah.
RJ suspended again.
I love to shout out when necessary. And I just want to shout out Dave Alred's students. I see he's offering one-on-one coaching. And I just gotta shout him out. I just have to. It's on my spirit, man. Like, I can only imagine that they're doing phenomenally well. They're gonna just kill it in the market, and you too can have 1,000 doors one day if you don't know shit about real estate and you just listen to me and put 20% down payments on everything. You'll be wealthy.
It does prove that that's how simple real estate is that someone like this can own 1,000 doors.
Yeah.
That's a
well, it's easy to be wealthy, right? If you follow this formula, it's really easy to be wealthy. Like step one, be wealthy.
Yeah.
And then put 20% down on all these houses.
Oh, that's absolutely outstanding. Point that round's going to go to Sarcastic Steve, just starting us off right there. We need to see more of that. Not going to lie, CJ, you absolutely killed it with the shout out there, though. Almost stole his point. Love it. All right. Next up, what are your limitations as a leader, and how do you work to overcome them to be a successful leader? Start us off, Steve.
I would say my limitations as leader is, I'm always trying to grow, trying to expand our operations. And the thing that always tends to hurt us consistently is trying to grow too fast, And I've learned these lessons. You got to focus better. More businesses starve of indigestion, die from indigestion than starvation. But I have this undying need to continually grow and expand. So what I'm doing to overcome it is I have my council. I have the other leaders in our organization. So when I say, hey, I want to do this, what do you guys think? And they can tell me how stupid my idea was and to slow me down. So my biggest challenge is I've got massive shiny object syndrome, in case you guys can't tell. And surrounding myself with other people. People that will tell me no, unlike RJ's wife. They'll tell me no and why this idea was stupid and put me in my place. So I would say that's how what I'm doing to overcome that challenge.
Shout out to Informed Conversations. Appreciate it, Steve. Next up, CJ, what about you? Riveting.
I think we should move on.
Whoop. Up. Whoop.
Good job, CJ.
All right.
No,
Wait, Dad.
look. How could I be better?
He sounds like one of our students
as a business owner.
Is CJ rebooting? What happened there?
He was.
I could be better as a business owner. I could have better internet.
Oh my God! It sounds like dial-up. Just like, oh, dude.
Yeah, his greatest limitation is definitely the internet. Let's just move on.
His greatest limitations, Comcast.
Oh my God!
Absolutely
Dave
riveting,
Albertson.
CJ. All right, next up, we'll go ahead and try to make it back to CJ. All right, RJ, what about you? What's limiting you?
Oh man. If you didn't catch that, CJ's answer was his greatest limitation as a leader is he continually just hires A players like John Morant. Not working out so well. My greatest limitation is when I'm faced with situations that I've never been in before. As an entrepreneur, real estate investor, whatever, quickly deciphering how to handle those situations because there is no one else to look to. Everyone on the team is going to look at you to say, what is the direction we head? How do we handle this situation? And I think as we push the limits, to Steve's point, as whether it's growth or scaling or whatever, we continually push ourselves to those limits. And then we find ourselves saying we have to find new ways to come up with answers.
Point of clarification, RJ, are those legend signs multiplying backward on the back wall there? Like I see like 2 or 3 more. Next up, Brewer, what about you?
Man, I think this is actually one of the hardest questions to answer. I think we have blind spots as leaders. I mean, oftentimes as leaders and managers, entrepreneurs, people with super sketchy internet like CJ, we get charging 1,000 miles an hour in a direction and we experience success. And we believe that everything we did along the way contributed to that success. I've been working really hard on this right now. And from an emotional intelligence perspective, which I think could be the most important thing as a leader, and then the ability to communicate that EQ, is not bringing bad habits, attachments, preconceived notions, experience from bad situations that we came along the way. Everybody had a rocky start and went through, a lot of roller coaster rides on the way up. And then we get to a new and improved set of circumstances with better people. And we bring all of those bad habits, assumptions, preconceived notions, and emotions to those situations. So I think for me, it's the ability to recognize where I came from, bring the good with me, leave the bad behind, and make new decisions based on new information.
CJ, you want to try again?
Nope. Nope.
All right. Well, hey, 2 minutes. Chop it up, guys.
I want to know if CJ's students ever ask him why he can't afford internet.
Well, we got the chat here. We got a bunch of the UFam. Hey, UFam, in the comments here. Are you guys concerned about CJ's quality of internet? Or
maybe he could just grab one of the students' hotspot.
He was not looking crispy for the show.
Get
he's
the
back.
USB charged up and snag a student's hotspot. Like, do you a solid. Man, what did you take a Valium while you were off screen? Like, what's up with your brain? Like, Louise, what are you talking? Like, if he wins
RJ,
this,
going back to your point, though, RJ, you were saying, like, one of the biggest struggles is we're pioneering, right? This is new frontier. Yeah. Why do you feel you have to go at it alone when you got, CJ, Brewer? Oh, I don't know if you got Eric's number. I don't know if he's giving it to you, but you got my number. You got Potter's number, right? Like, why do you feel like you have to go through it alone? Why do you feel like you have to have the answers?
I think because as entrepreneurs, that's naturally how we feel about everything. Like, to our core, it's we want to be the person that comes up with the solution. It's almost an ego thing because you're saying
it's not almost, it's 100% an ego
thing.
I think you're going to get yourself into trouble with that attitude.
This is what I was talking about, right? Because the real answer that RJ wants to say is that because that's what got him to where he is. That moderate level of success that you see on the other side of that camera is 100% attributed to his ego and his willingness to do all the shit that no one else could or was willing to do. That's my point exactly, is like what got you there oftentimes will not get you to the next level, but it's how do you abandon the things that got you to where you are? It's like I lived this life because of the way that I behaved for the last 15 years. It's tough to convince me that I have to abandon that, not just like modify it and tweak it. Like you almost have to become the opposite of what you were when you got to, like, grinding doesn't make you a better leader. Growth.
Yeah, so I would say, like Eric, in the last 3 years, I got to see this evolution, right? So I'm just be very clear, he's still an asshole, right? In case there's any confusion about that. But he's a far, far superior leader because he has made the change. Oh, CJ doesn't like where I'm going with this. So
there we go.
So Eric has made like giant leaps, right? And I know he was uncomfortable in the transition he's had to make, but he's made those changes and surrounded himself with counsel, right? Where he doesn't have the answer, but what he does a really good job of is pulling the answers out of his team and from, his circle. So RJ, I'm going to pick on you a little bit here. I think this idea where you have to come with the answers, I think this is where you get into trouble, and you will be limited in what you can accomplish because what you can accomplish is going to be completely limited by what you know. And
absolutely,
and do that to yourself.
And here's a funny part of that, because I will say there was a part of our growth and evolution that we got to the point where we did start reaching out and masterminding with other people. And that led to some of the downfalls of our company for several years because maybe we didn't take the best of advice. And so now there's like the coming back and saying, okay, we need to make sure we're making the right connections. We're listening to the right people. Obviously, in Eric's case, he has listened to the right people. He has made the right changes. But there's also the flip side of that you can make the wrong changes and listen to the wrong people, and that can lead you astray. And so that's where I'm kind of at, is where I'm at the point where we're getting to where I need to start listening to other people, making sure it's the right ones. And honestly, Steve, I just don't know if it's you.
Well, it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be me because I'm not saying I got all the answers
Chris,
either.
what do you
right?
think? Let's go to Chris. Chris, seriously, weigh in here. We need a tiebreaker. 4 people say don't listen to Chris. 0 people say listen to Steve. We're like, what do you think here, buddy? Really?
Shout out to
Yeah.
Chris's bank account.
Yeah.
Shout out to my
Hey, but
Wi-Fi.
RJ, here's what I'll say to this, right? Like, and I'm not trying to beat you up here. Is that I think one of the
You kind of
important
are,
skills
though.
for us.
It's 4.5 minutes of literally just slaying RJ. Right?
Well,
I know
okay
it sounds
with it.
weird for me to say, but give the guy a break, dude. Like, let up a little bit.
No. So anyway, what I would say is the one of the challenges we have to do is collect as much information as possible, and then the greatest limitation still is we have to be the one that discerns, right? Like we're gonna collect as much data, information.
Yeah.
In masterminds, we get information here, we get information from our inner circle, and yeah, at the end of the day, we are responsible for making the best decision possible, and we have to live with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I guess I'm done beating up RJ for now.
Welcome back,
Jeez.
CJ.
Thank you for your input, CJ.
Yeah. Shout out to CJ's input on that question. Absolutely appreciate
Shout out
it.
to CJ's internet.
Real quick before we award a point, go to gofundme.com/Chris Jefferson, the U /Richmond, Virginia, to go ahead and fund some reliable internet for him. That round, again, pains me to do this because ultimately at the end of the day, you know, he's been a little angry towards me today, but I am going to go ahead and hook Eric Brewer up with a point that round. He made some great points about the evolution, and he's also personally, you know, gone through that growth season, and we appreciate that, Eric, because you hung true to who you are. You've stayed an asshole for those 3 years, and we really appreciate it. All right. Last question. This one comes from the audience. What do we got here? Okay. I like this one. With today's economy and the importance of hiring the right employees, what does your recruiting process look like? Start us off, Eric.
Yeah, we've worked really hard on this. For me, the number one way for us to recruit has been our presence on social media. No tricks, no crazy strategies. Be yourself. Talk about yourself. Talk about your business. You will alienate the people that you don't align with, and you will be a magnet to the people that you do want to hire. It's the number one source for me to hire A players. The second thing is it's not today's economy. It's always been super important to have top tier talent. And we've, I think this will resonate with anybody that's in real estate. You're probably familiar with what's called a buy box, right? It's the style of property, the age of property, all of the things that fit inside of your buy box. We've actually created a hire box here, and it distinctly defines the type of people that we want to hire, how they behave in the office, outside of the office, what their long-term goals are, things like being an ideal team player, which means they're humble, hungry, and smart. So those are the two things. Clearly define what you're looking for, and then go out and talk about it on social media and bring those people in so they have the opportunity to talk to them.
Just no Instagram lives with guns, right?
I mean, if that's how you get down, then that's how you get down.
All right, Steve, what about you? What's your recruiting process look like?
So it's two different things. First, it is the social media, right? It's creating or letting people know what our culture is like, our impression. And part of what we're doing, part of the disruption, they get to see what is this organization looking like before they even join it. So I would say the social media presence, consistent posting about that we're hiring and so on. The other thing too is referrals from within the organization. You know, we've got some rock star talent here. And the only reason why we have rock star talent is because rock stars hang out with other rock stars. So I didn't hire each one of these media guys one at a time through Indeed or anything like that. It was like, hey, I got a buddy who's great at this. Can I bring him in? And another one, hey, I got someone else that's good at this. Can I bring him in? So I think just consistently creating a good culture, encouraging referrals, that was the other thing that's worked really well for us as well.
Good points. Good points, Steve. I like it. CJ, are you participating in this round?
He's got a halo.
Can you hear me?
All right,
Yes.
there we go. Let's go, CJ.
Can you hear me or not?
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yes, go.
Yeah.
All right, he's got no audio. He's out.
All right, I
Shout out
don't
to
even
the
I don't
fam.
even know. Yeah,
Jeez.
absolutely.
Shout out
Man.
Nextel.
Cricket Wireless is not for CJ.
All right, then CJ's gonna go ahead and sit this round out for the moment. While he's got IT on it.
And he's still
next
going to
up,
win the round on the public poll.
he might if you keep talking back like that. RJ, what about you?
CJ, I don't know if you know this, but even here in the Ozarks Lake House, you get fiber optic cable internet just run to you. Just got to use some of that bank account. For us, our entire team is built off of coming from social media or someone that we were doing business with, and we essentially recruited them to our organization. And because of that, it's enabled us to, if they come from social media, to Eric's point, they already resonate with you, right? And so you automatically know that they probably align on a certain level with your core values and who you are as a person, if you are being yourself on social media. And then headhunting wise, same thing. You're probably already going to have interactions. You're going to know how they handle their business, and that's how those people have ended up in our organization. And I think we have the best team that we've ever had because of that at this point.
No discussion, guys. I mean, I know we're down CJ, but nothing.
I want to see. No, okay. I was going to say, let's give CJ another shot, but no, he's out. Yeah, but I think, we talked about how to source employees, but I also want to make sure we're very clear here. You got to be really meticulous in screening out bad people, right? So they might find you, but you've got a good culture. You got a good working culture. You got people working hard, living the core values. You've got to be really careful protecting your organization from people that maybe a John Morant or a Dylan Brooks, whatever, right? You got to keep the bad players out, because it only takes one bad actor or one rotten apple to ruin your company. So
How do you do
we're
that?
talking about how to source talents, but
How do you do that? Like, how do you keep them out?
well, you got to have a great interview process. I highly recommend Who by Jeff Smart. You got to make sure you're testing for core values, asking them the right questions to find out what kind of character they have, who they admire, what they liked about who they admire. We like the PI test as well. It's not necessary, but we like to kind of get a feel of their tendencies. And we want to do reference checks. And man, that is one corner I cut for years and years and years. Now that we have an in-house recruiter, we're not cutting that corner anymore, right? I think getting reference checks as well to make sure what they're saying is factually true.
I think also if they come to you from social media, really diving into the conversation about what about your social media presence brought them to you. And I think a lot of what you're talking about there, Steve, as far as the core values and things like that will come out. And then having that multiple layer interview process where you're really seeing, do they continually show up on time? Is the attitude the same? Really kind of putting them through the ringer a little bit. I think that what works out. And then also for us, one of the other things that's really worked is lack of experience. We don't really want to hire people with prior experience in real estate. We've seen that has kind of caused issues. For us, it's better if they come in and they're kind of a clean slate where they can learn how we do things specifically.
I'd love to have Eric add insight too. Right? He asked the question, Eric, what are you doing to protect your culture?
I mean, that's the thing. That's why we wanted to be so consistent with it. Like, if you rush through the interview process and you don't dive into core values, and someone has experience or they have the ability to do the job and they seem like they're competent, and you get them in, and I'll ask people, I'll go, what are your core values? And they'll bring them off, and I'll go, you said perseverance, and to you that means to figure out a way to get things done. If this person comes in with all this experience and they're super smart, they went to college, whatever, and they don't persevere, how will that show up in the workplace? So there's no way. Like, it causes problems, they don't get work done. They're constantly, bothering other people to help them solve simple issues. So for us, that's why we created that buy box. And it literally, there's 4 sides to a box, CJ, in case you were wondering. And on each one of those, there's a specific topic we want to cover in that interview. So it generally takes 4 interviews for us to offer a job. And we've gotten through 2 of those and go, man, I absolutely love this person. And then the third, we bring them in and we go, okay, we're going to focus on the core value of humility. Let's really tap in to humility. And I'll go, Steve, you've obviously experienced a lot of success. Your resume is impressive. What would you attribute your success to? And for 15 minutes, they tell me how great they are. That's not an example of someone that operates with humility, right? And that for us just doesn't work. We want someone that, like, realistically, and this isn't just fluff, takes the credit for absolutely nothing and the blame for everything. That's our definition of humility here. And if in that interview, if they're saying, well, I did this and I did that, and, I work really hard, what they should be saying is, man, my parents made lots of sacrifices to put me in a good situation. And I was surrounded by a bunch of great kids. And, I had a good college coach that really taught me the value of hard work. And I'm so lucky to have had a mentor like RJ that helped me pick out the best hockey sweaters that the market can offer. And, so that's what you can look for in each one of those categories. And then, because you hire the whole person, you don't just get their resume, you get their heart, you get their brain, their emotions, their baggage, how they talk to people, do they have a quick temper? You get all of that. It all shows up at the office. So that's
Could you imagine going to 4 interviews just to learn how to say equity protection program to buy $30,000 skip boxes in York, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You do it. Now, I want to say, tell me about a time, Eric, where you put your handle as Suns Suck when you joined the Rendezvous link and expected to win the round. Tell me about that, Eric.
I mean, I like I'm testing your humility. Are you going to accept the fact that they're down, 0-2? You brought in potentially the best player in the NBA to try and steal a championship. You didn't earn it. That's stealing. That's stealing.
Man, we
Right?
we can't be having that kind of trash talk from Brewer around here. We
Bring
can't.
up Steve. Put the brooms out. It's getting ugly. No Chris Paul the next 2 games. You guys are.
So I guess Eric is suspended for the next 2 months. So Leon, I hope you're paying attention. We're looking
Absolutely.
We're bringing the A squad back.
That's right. Let's bring him back. All right. So this might be a first. I'm not sure if this has ever happened before.
You gonna vote correctly?
Incorrect. Point to RJ Bates. Clearly, I'm agreeing with the chat on this, so I'm obviously a good judge. Thank you. And RJ, in dominating fashion, has absolutely destroyed the remaining panel today. Not too difficult with CJ only doing a half day. So that being said, we really appreciate everybody that tuned in today. It has been an awesome show for 3 of our 4 panelists. And, before we take off, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, 10X TV with Tony Javier. Go ahead and go to tvwithtony.com to go ahead and check out how he can help you increase your business. We're going to go ahead and give each one of our esteemed panelists a chance to go ahead and sign off. We'll start with today's winner, RJ Bates.
Appreciate the solid judging today, Potter. That was a good job. We are currently in the middle of doing 50 deals, 50 states, 50 days. We're already through 7 days, sent out 30 contracts, 15 have been signed. It's live on YouTube Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Central to 6 p.m. We've also dispoed 2 deals to CJ. I sent a deal to Steve. He said no. I'm going to send some short sales to Potter. Called Leon G. Barnes about 2 deals. Won't be calling Eric Brewer, though. That's
Thank you.
My sign off.
Appreciate it. Well, What did I do to deserve that favor? I literally watched RJ the other day, like his last 50 calls, you're asking 83. What if I gave you 84? Can I email you the contract? Like that's been his literally. I'll share him in the group chat. He heard reverse psychology. He uses reverse negotiating. Actually increases the offer from what the seller wants.
Can I?
That's how I make those $5,000 assignment fees.
Listen, in all honesty, Potter, I'll just go now. No need to introduce me. I tried nationwide wholesaling. We failed miserably. I don't think we made a dollar in 4 months. I'll use this as an opportunity to congratulate RJ. He's done a phenomenal job. The reality is, if you're thinking about doing that, it is not easy. The ability to like comp properties in multiple states and dispo. I folded. I quit. I threw in the towel. So shout out to RJ. I see the upside. I tapped out. It's not for me. It's super hard. So if you want to put that into context, I've done 5,000 deals. The fact that this dude's doing 50 deals in 50 states in 50 days is a crazy accomplishment. That's all I have. I don't even want to talk about myself. And as an example of humility, I'll end
nonsense
with that.
humility, a fake humility. Yes, thank you.
Wow. We call that humility around here. Thanks, Brewer.
Yeah.
All right.
Nobody
Steve.
cares what you guys do around there, quite honestly. So we'll
Be easy over there. All
Hurry
right.
up,
You know,
before his computer dies or like a crow flies over his apartment and like the dude's in a 1-bedroom condo. Like, hurry up and get to him quick.
all right, Steve, you're next up. Go ahead and say bye to the people.
Oh man, great episode as always. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate Eric and his rudeness, his shots. I apologize to RJ for beating him up, being so rough with him, but it's out of care, right? Want us all to win, and I just want to sign off with saying shout out to CJ's Internet.
So CJ back because I was gonna do his outro for him.
Potter, you can do it for me, man. You got it.
All right, here we go. Chris Jefferson, the U over here. You know the vibes. Doublegate vibes over here. Hey, make sure that you tune in tonight. Startflippingdeals.com. You know, that's how we do it. 7 p.m. Eastern, right here over in Virginia.
Holy shit,
solid,
Potter's
bro.
a fanboy, bro.
That was solid, man. That was solid, Potter. That was solid. I like it. Thank you.
RJ, if you want, I can go ahead and do yours too. RJ Bates III. I'm coming to you from the shack over here in the Ozarks. 50 deals, 50 days, 50 different ways to get paid.
Oh.
Titanium Crucible. Let's go. I also have a podcast where I will never have Eric Brewer on it, mainly just due to conflict. You know, it's cool.
Don't be a lady, be a legend, bro. I love it.
That's right. Be legendary.
Right there, baby.
All right, y'all. We hope that you had a lot of fun. I will not be doing the outros every week. I'm just here to help support, our panelists when they have internet issues. But that being said, thank you everybody for tuning in. If you had a good time, go ahead and share this with someone. If you didn't have a good time, still share it with them. We don't care. So that being said, we will see you next week. Same exact time, same exact channel. See you later.